Hello, and welcome to another episode that cannot be accused of being enlightening. We ended the 2022 season by losing the wildcard game, where the Dodgers outmatched our injured roster. At this point, I have many concerns with my roster and plan to revamp it as much as possible over the next season. First thing, personnel. We do have a few vacant positions, and in a return to form, here are the before and after hires. I can't wait to finally be rid of Jeff Bridich after the 2023 season. As always, arbitration-eligible players are offered contracts around estimates, but here are the notable extensions. Tristan Gray signed a 2-year, $11.75 million contract, solidifying first base. This was mostly just to save a few pennies, and I have a couple of first basemen in the pipeline a couple of years out. German Marquez will earn $86 million over 5 years. I'm probably going to trade him in a few seasons, but want to use him at his peak. I offer Joe Jimenez and Carlos Martinez qualifying offers, which Jimenez accepts. In theory, I could have signed Jimenez slightly cheaper, but he wanted a long-term deal and I didn't want to give it. Davey Grullen, Tommy Kahnle, Tyler Skaggs, and Marcus Stroman are all either non-tendered or not offered extensions. Finally, Tony Santillan is refusing to negotiate a new contract.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
And now we come to the trades. Try to keep up, boys and girls. I make a trade with the Diamondbacks, sending Tony Santillan, Justin Lawrence, and a minor leaguer for Shea Langeliers and a minor leaguer. This will help my hole at catcher. The Mariners agreed to a trade, sending Scott Kingery and Sam Hilliard for Andrew Benintendi and 4 minor leaguers. Honestly, this trade makes absolutely no sense, but neither do the Mariners most of the time. Carlos Correa, Colton Welker, and a minor leaguer are sent to Cleveland for Shane Bieber, with the Indians retaining 10%, and Tyler Freeman. This is a great addition to the pitching staff while clearing up some salary, but now I need a shortstop. But if you think I'm done making trades...
No, I'm just getting warmed up.
I make a trade with the Mets, sending Drew Steckenrider and once promising prospect Jose Garcia for Chris Flexen, with the Mets retaining 65%. Now I have a relatively inexpensive starter. Am I done? No, I'm not. This time it's with the Cubs, sending DJ LeMahieu for Kyle Hendricks, with them retaining 10%. Kind of a lateral move, but I wanted an extra reliable pitcher.
But wait! There's more!
I make a trade with the Royals, sending Socrates Brito and a minor leaguer for Adalberto Mondesi and 4 minor leaguers. This solves my shortstop issue, but now I'm dependent on a young outfield. I promise that's the last trade for now. I add Jeremy Ehrman, Grant Levine, Dakota Bennett, Nico Decolati, and Pedro Castellanos to the 40-man roster. I also DFA Max George and Nelson Velasquez. As we enter the free agency period, here is some of the available talent. Seems to be rather pitcher-heavy this time around. I offer Josh Hader the racist a 3-year contract worth $9 million. I'm just going to pretend he's not racist. JT Realmuto signs on with a 3-year $18 million deal, and my catching platoon is now complete. As an inexpensive option to bolster center field and attendance numbers, I signed Jackie Bradley Jr. to a 1-year $3 million deal. I figure even if he sucks completely, it won't cost much to release him. I pick up Alexander Campos in the Rule 5 draft. Thanks to the roster expanding to 26 players, this will be a very useful way to recruit talent cheaply. We enter spring training, and Desmond Lindsay is hurt for up to 8 months. I guess that's what I get for having a player named Desmond. Mike Schultes is out for 2 to 3 months, but this turns out to be longer due to setbacks. Finally, Dakota Bennett is hurt and is out for...
Whoa! Wait a minute!
No, seriously, you think I'm playing this up, but this was more or less my actual reaction at the time. I've never seen an injury with that lengthy of a recovery time in this game. I know Tommy John can have a lengthy recovery time, but this has seriously never happened in this game to this point, as long as I played it. I'm stunned about this. Absolutely stunned. We finally reach opening day, and after many demotions, here's the roster I'm left with. I'm actually pretty happy with this roster as long as everyone performs the way that I expect. I have questions about Jurickson Profar, as I've never used him before in this game, but we'll see. As always, I play the opening day game. Here's the lineup I used against the Cardinals. While we didn't win this one, it wasn't from a lack of trying on Shane Bieber's part. He gave up 2 runs in the first, but then proceeded to mow down everyone through 7 innings. In fact, the only offense of the game for the Rockies was the Shane Bieber home run that was in the bottom of the first inning. Overall, though, I'd rather lose 2-1 than 10-9 if you catch my drift. Pitching was used effectively if nothing else. Shortly thereafter, Jeremy Ehrman is placed on the injured list, while Tyler Freeman is called up. Here are my new lineups. Jonathan Daza is out for 4 weeks. I call up Hunter Bishop to replace him. Here are my new lineups. We enter May with a lackluster 15-14 record, a .517 win percentage, good for 4th in the division. No big deal, it's early, we can overcome. Here are my pitching stats, as well as my batting stats. I DFA Pedro Fernandez and demote Ryan Valade while calling up Marshall Kozlowski and Trey Jacobs. Here are my new pitching assignments, as well as my lineup. Jeremy Ehrman is no longer injured and is sent to AAA. Jonathan Daza is in need of a rehab assignment, which I hope will help his crappy performance to this point. We enter June, and Shane Bieber is named Pitcher of the Month. Pretty happy with this trade so far. We have a 31-26 record, a .544 win percentage, second in the division. Better, but not good enough. Here are my pitching stats, as well as my batting stats. I make a trade with the Giants, sending struggling Jerks and Profar and a minor leaguer for James Marinan and 2 minor leaguers. Taking a risk with this pitcher, but seems to be a good prospect to go after. I send him down to AAA for the time being. I call up Jonathan Daza to fill the hole on the roster. Here are my new lineups. Draft day is here, and I do give a signing bonus of $5 million. Very weak draft class this year, so I took what I could. Mid-season goals time. Owner still not happy.
Oh, there's a fucking surprise.
We enter July with a 49-34 record, a .590 win percentage, second in the division. Now we're cooking with fire. Here are my pitching stats, as well as my batting stats. I make no moves at this time because why mess with success? Mike Schultes is no longer injured and is sent to AAA. I make a trade with the Tigers, sending one of Jeff Bridic's worst draft picks for Willie Castro and a minor leaguer. This should help with the hole at second left by the departure of Profar. To make this trade work, I send down Parker Meadows. Here are my new lineups. We enter August with a 64-44 record, a .593 win percentage, and finally have first place in the division. Here are my pitching stats, as well as my batting stats. Yet again, I make no moves with the roster, and at this rate never will again. That's August. We enter September with an 81-55 record, a .596 win percentage, and are still in first in the division and will likely win the division crown. That's awesome we don't have to deal with the wildcard game. Why doesn't every team just do this? I call up Parker Meadows and anyone else who looked useful. Here are my new pitching assignments, as well as my lineup. And Jackie Bradley Jr. is suspended. Okie dokie. Andrew Benintendi is out for 2 weeks. Really not good, but at least he'll be back for the playoffs. Oh, well, great. My best pitcher is out and will miss some playoff time. Fucking great. We end the season to find that German Marquez has had the most wins during the season at 16. What's funny though is if you look, the second best record in that stat is also one of our starters, Freddie Peralta. That's actually kind of funny. Who would have thought that the Rockies would have been known for their pitching? After all 162 games, we are left with a 98-64 record, a .605 win percentage, first in the division. This really bodes well for our World Series chances, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Here are the pitching stats to end the season, as well as the batting stats. We enter the playoffs and have to assemble the playoff roster. Here are the pitching assignments, as well as the lineup. The Rockies find themselves playing against the Dodgers in the NLDS and prevail in 4 games. But now we come to our most hated competitor, the true evil incarnate of baseball. Yes, we're talking about the Mets.
And meet the Mets.
Unit lost.
We kinda aren't the Knicks.
I make one roster move, replacing James Marinan with Shane Bieber as he is no longer injured. We sim through the playoff round, and I cannot believe we almost lost to the Mets again. But it doesn't matter, because fuck you, Mets. Oh my god, I fucking beat the Mets. We make it back to the World Series, and we are here to reclaim our mantle. No one will stop us, not even the Angels, who we've previously beaten in the World Series. We're cruising through this, I can feel it. Anyone got some Xanax? Okay, we didn't win, but we still have shit to do before this episode is over. I avoided Kyle Hendricks' final year, discovered that the owner is actually happy with me for a fucking change. I have a record-setting budget for the next season, and my contract was once again extended. But the most important thing is this peculiar rule change taking effect, essentially lowering the pitcher's mound from its current regulatory height. This doesn't sound like anything major, but based not only on the email you're currently reading, but independent research on my part, this could really be a problem for the Rockies going forward because of the Coors effect already being an issue. It may be impossible to ever play baseball in Colorado again. Let's find out next time. Or not. I'm not forcing you to do any damn thing.